So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Quantum Leap into 2021. We've had a great day today and lots of great speakers, lots of great workshops. And I know Matt Elwell from the Elite Closing Academy is going to be one of the highlights. Matt's presentation today, Open with a Close, is I think going to take what you know about sales and turn it on its head. Matt is a sales and closing expert, a global keynote speaker, and an author. And I'm looking forward to his session, and I know you're all going to get a lot of value out of it. So I'm going to pass over to Matt and let him get on with it. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. We've got a couple of comments that I'm buzzing. So let me know if you can hear me. Just type yes in the comments below if you can hear me okay.
Just turn it up a bit, Matt.
Turn it up a bit, Matt. Okay, so type yes in the comments box if you can hear me, or Alex shout out and say yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Good. Okay, we're coming in thick and fast. So good evening, good afternoon. I'm not sure where everybody is around the planet right here, right now. We're here in a leafy suburb of Birmingham, the international class, world-class training centre for excellence here, right next to International Train Centre in Birmingham, International Airport in Birmingham. So why don't you type in the box, where are you on God's amazing planet right now? Let me know where you are. Type your comments in the box for me, please. Good evening, everybody. What we got? We've got California, an amazing place. Columbus, I love it. Bournemouth, South Wales, Yorkshire. Where is Silver? Oh, Essex, love it. Manchester. Portugal. Wow, we're flying in. We really are all over the place. High Wycombe, it's not quite California, but I'll take it. Central Scotland, amazing country. Amazing. Where else are you from? Andover. That's in Basingstoke somewhere, I think. Okay, cool. Really, really helpful. So there's a few things I want to share with you this evening, and here's the reason why. Alex has asked me to give a presentation around sales and closing. So we're going to focus on the closing. Now, before we do, I want to ask you all a question. And as SME business owners, entrepreneurs, we're the lifeblood of our nations. Let's face it, as we come out of COVID season over the next few weeks and months, fingers crossed, as the vaccines start to work, our role in the recovery of our communities, our areas, our countries, even, and our continents is going to be absolutely critical. So I have a passion for SME because I've been an SME business owner since I was 22, which was about 11 stone ago now. And the truth is that I started a tiny little business with my dad and my brother back in March 2000. And I worked out that actually there's one or two skills that all SME business owners must have when it comes to sales and closing. So let me ask you a question first and foremost. The question is this, just to give me a feel for it. Number one, type in the box how many people are involved with the sales and closing in your business. So how big is your sales team? It could be 1, 10, 50, it doesn't really matter. Just type in the box below. What have I got, Mark? Shout, mate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2.
4, 2.
1, 2.
Great, okay. 6. 6 is our big one. 30 plus. Amazing. So second question is, if you're on your own or a small SME, when you put your sales skin on, not when you're doing operations, not when you're doing marketing, when you put your sales skin on, give yourself a number. So 10 is you are knocking it out the park. Sales are going really well. Doesn't matter about COVID. You've got a system, a process, and it's repeatable. That's a 10. Naught is you really just cannot fathom how to get a process and a structure that feels natural to sell and close every time. What's your number? What we got? 7. 7. Shout them out, Mark. I'm going to put a few here. 7. Okay. So I don't know if everybody can see that. I'm going to put it there. So first and foremost, I think there's a couple of things really helpful to know your number. Interestingly, the number we are concerned about the most really is a 7. it's kind of like not bad enough to cause you any immediate damage or trouble as a business, but there's clearly not enough focus, and you're going to get 7 out of 10 results with a 7 out of 10 energy. So perfect. I put together 4 key things for you this evening as an SME business owner that I think not only will help you quantum leap into 2021, but also I think that will help you close the book right now. December's the best month of the year to make a sale or close something down. Here's the reason why. On December the 31st, if you're anything like me, you're going to be either putting your fees up next year or at very least closing the book on anything that's outstanding this year. So, couple of core philosophies before we really get going. Firstly, all of us have to understand that there's a critical difference between sales and closing. They are not the same thing. They're completely different, actually. So they require a different skill set. They require a different tonality. They require a completely different energy for you, the professional salesperson, the professional SME business owner, the professional entrepreneur. They require different skills, different processes, different questions, different language. Just so I can get a feel for it, just type yes if you already knew that, and no if you didn't. So type yes if you knew that selling and closing was different, and put no if you didn't. Yeah, so there's a good awareness here. There's a lot of yeses. Good. So what we're going to focus on right here, right now, there's a lot of yeses. Great. So that's really helpful. So what that means is what we're going to focus on here and now is, now that we understand that the closing skill is an ancient art, a skill itself, I'd like to share with you some of the science behind that, and actually sort of how language impacts how we close sales. So before I do, the one big question I'd also like a bit of feedback on is, right here, right now, what do you think in your business when it comes to selling and closing, what do you think your number one strength actually is? Type that in the box below. Really keen to see what we're good at. What do you do well when you're closing?
James has been assumptive.
Being
We've got
assumptive.
Michael, ask for business.
Yeah.
Personal contact from Steve. Thank you, Steve. Understanding what the customer wants from Suzanne. Identify how you can solve your problem.
Nice. Good. Thank you for that. And I think one thing that I have learned through COVID season is actually being really clear on what you're amazing at in your business, in your sales process, in your closing process. I think that's the best place to start, because let's face it, being an entrepreneur, an SME owner, somebody that works in small to medium-sized business, how bloody tough is it? It is tough. It's hard work. And I think being able to really zone in on what's amazing, what you're great at, is really helpful. I used to run a retail business with my father and my brother, selling tiles and bathrooms in the contractor space, building contractor space. And we had a motto that kind of encapsulated what we felt we were amazing at. And that was being small enough to care and big enough to deliver. And actually, we made that our focus. We made that, it's how we served. We asked lots of questions. We were avoiding pushy sales. We were constantly looking to make it more of a sort of consultation. What do you need? How do you think we can help you? What is it about our product or service that's going to get you an even better result or solve a problem? And that actually is the essence, in my view, of how you sell. Write this down. Great sales equals asking powerful questions and sharing helpful information. That's what selling is. Not telling how it all works, not explaining why they should do it. That's something of the past, features and benefit sales. Of course, there's a time to have it in a written proposal so they can look at it and then ask what other information they need or what questions they've got. That's fine, that's different. The sales process itself is very much collaborative, consultative, and it's very much human to human. So that's important. So now I know what we're doing really well. If there was one thing that you could do even better to close effortlessly, to close more business, type your comments in the box below. What would it be? Just one thing you could do even better. And Mark, if you could shout one or two out, please.
Yeah, of course.
What have you got? What could you do just a little bit better?
So while we're waiting, Dan said, please repeat the statement or the question.
The statement about me or
I'm
which
not
bit?
quite sure. She just said, please repeat the statement.
We've probably got this on replay.
Ask better questions.
Yeah.
Active listening about great sales. Ask powerful, great sales.
Yeah, so the statement is great selling is asking powerful questions and sharing helpful information so that you can decide whether or not you're a good match. If you are, you can stop selling and start closing and send them a written proposal.
James says, ask more questions at the start before presenting.
Yeah, amazing. What else could we do a little bit better to close more sales? Type your comments in the box below. What else have we got? Mark, a bit higher up.
Or better identifying the pain points, finding their pain points, establish customer needs, share how our products solve their pain points.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, that's really helpful. So I'm about to share with you one or two slides. Just before I do, for those of you that like to really understand your clients, I teach a system. It's in my book called Open with a Close, by the way, which I know Alex already put in your goodie bag, and you can actually get a free copy. This is in there. It's called Punt with a Q. So when you're asking powerful questions, the system that we follow, so that you're not all over the place, is to ask powerful questions related to, write this down, pains, urgency, need, and trust. P-U-N-T. And the Q, that stands for qualitative or measurable information. And the skill, actually, when you're selling, is to find out the logical pains, how urgent it is. I used to sell bathrooms. People walk into a room, they kind of already want a bathroom. Well, how long have you wanted it? Like, by wanting it that long, how does it make you feel? Yeah, well, we've had a leak and it keeps leaking for 2 years. And when it leaks, how annoying is it? So just asking powerful questions around pain, urgency, need, and trust. You don't have to be all funky and get into rapport and try and mirror and match, which a lot of other salespeople or training will mention. What you have to do is just ask amazing questions and commit to listening when you're selling. Commit to understanding what they really need, and then decide whether or not from the information you've gathered that you actually can solve it. And when you're the solution to a problem and those things are in play, that's when my experience says that's when people are committed to your product or service, and they look for all the reasons why they should do it as opposed to all of the reasons why they shouldn't. So let's get on with some training. So I have a formula. Mark, I just need to click the button, please. I have a formula called the Elite Closing Formula that was, I learned it in the retail sector. And these 5 things are the 5 things that I teach everybody that fly in from all over the world now to our training centre here in Birmingham. And these are the same 5 things that I took my business when it was like doing just a few grand a month up to 7 figures over 9 years. They're the same 5 things that I teach in negotiation. I teach everywhere between small business all the way up to the largest company I deal with is a digital marketing agency in America who turn over $27 million every year with a big sales team. These are the same 5 things I teach everybody. So here they are. Here's the formula. They're 5 very much sort of high-end words. And we do a training here where there's also 25 trainings that go with that foundation. Now, what I've decided to do today, and Alex has asked me, so that we can quantum leap, I've picked out 3 or 4 of these trainings that I think can help us straight away right now to close anything that's closable in 2020 and to get a great start. So look, the thing about a formula is that, yes, it's a structure. And going from cold to sold, from the moment somebody moves towards you, it's really important that you start to think to yourself about what that journey would look like. If you were going to buy your own product or service, how many steps would you need to take before you're ready to make an informed decision? So that's the first thing that's really important. And the second thing is, I always say, that selling is hard work, in brackets, hard work, work in brackets, so that closing and exchanging contracts is easy. And the big word that I think for us all over the country, all over the globe, the most important thing about selling is that it's transparent, that you are natural and that you can be you, just like you would with your friends, just like you communicate with your family. It should all be done, your communication in the modern world should all be done on this, which is a computer. And it's a computer phone, which has a phone option. It has email option. It has text, WhatsApp. It can do virtually everything. And after yourself, this is the second most important tool. So here's the first training I'd like to give you. And it's around mindset. And if you've got a pen and paper, I think there are two better words for mindset. I think the first word is attitude. So think about the word attitude. It's actually a choice. So how do you approach and how serious are you about the sales aspect of your SME, of your business? That's the first thing. Like, what is your attitude like? We were all born with courage. And you know something? Right here, right now, there are so many reasons why our customers find to put things off. And what do we have? I'd love to, but pop it on an email. I'd love to, but I'm concerned about COVID. I'd love to, but type in one or two of your love to buts. We call them neurological line stalls. Oh, cool. What do people say to you? What do people say to you? When you hear the word but, what do people say to you? I need to know more. Thank you, Susan. What else have you got? I'd love to, but I can't afford it. Thank you, Steve. What else do you get? I'd love to, but I need to think about it. I'm not ready. What else have you got? Who else has heard things like, I'm really interested, but pop it on an email? Like, what else do you get? Yeah, ask the partner, Steve. That's an absolute classic. So we have to accept that there are lots of reasons when we haven't sold it properly by asking and understanding that human beings can come up with. So I've created a training to help you understand the science behind this. I think somebody mentioned they're making excuses. Well, look, nobody's going to exchange a contract or sign something or exchange money or give you some money to get something they haven't got, whether it's a product or a service, whilst they're still making excuses and they're finding reasons why they shouldn't. And that's why your sales process is critical. That's why asking powerful questions and being courageous to move towards the truth. What do they really need from you? Like, what is it about the product or service that they like? This is how you sell, just asking powerful questions. So I'm going to flick this up for you. Mark, if you could just allow me to swap the screen. The mouse isn't working. Yeah, I think it's because you've clicked on that. So what I'm about to show you now is a picture of a human being's brain. And when we're in the buying process, when we're in a closing situation, there's three aspects of the brain that we need to understand. Now, this is my science that I've learned over many, many years, speaking face-to-face, over the phone, over a counter in my retail showroom, signing multi-6, multi-7-figure property deals. So the first thing that you've got to remember is there's an area in the brain, just here, if you just click on that for me, where fear lives. And it is a really powerful part of our brains. It's designed and has one job, and that's to protect us. So in the sales process, what are our biggest fears? We're scared of being hard sold to. We're scared of being duped. We're scared of not getting the results. What else are we scared of? Quite happy for you to post some of the other fears and concerns that people have. Like, we're scared of the salesperson that's trying to get you to get their commission, get you to sign a deal. And this part of the brain is where sort of yes and no lives. So if this was a color, it'd be very black and white. It's not looking to reason. It's just there to design, to keep you safe, fight or flight. It's heightened in the closing. And interestingly, what we've actually worked out is that the most polite way of doing this is, instead of just saying no to somebody, it's to use those two immortal words. Yes, but it's not the right time, or yes, but I need to speak to my partner, are good examples that we've seen. So you might be thinking, well, okay, now we know there's an area of the brain where it's all in fear, not just for the buyer, but if you ask questions from this part of the brain as well, and you're coming from a place of assumption, or you've already decided, we've all done this, by the way, you know, when you've already decided before you've had the conversation, like that they're not going to do it or the reasons why. We've all done that. And that's assumption and presumption. And that actually is not a helpful place for you to be as a professional salesperson. There's enough to be worried about. So when you're in brain one, whether you're buying or selling or closing or being closed, then sort of the brain will go into fear and look for reasons why it shouldn't. So here's the good news. There's another part of the brain, I call it left brain, where it craves data, it craves information. And this is where, if a prospect asks us a question, it doesn't matter how early on in the prospecting journey, maybe they've just come towards you and they ask you a question about your product or service. That is their brain seeking some information. Now, the one thing that I hear a lot is salespeople that are unskilled, holding information back at the beginning of the negotiation, at the beginning of the relationship. So here's a good example. How much is that one? Well, you know, it all depends on what you have and how many. That'd be a really good example of the left brain searching for information and the professional salesperson not actually answering it. So there's a couple of things to do here. Number one, when it comes to your fees and when it comes to financial options, it's really important that before you've actually put something in writing, a written proposal, that if somebody does ask about money, that you position the fee. I always say the last thing you want is for somebody to sort of freak out when they hear how much it is. You want them to kind of be like, yeah, okay, that feels about right. And again, in my old showroom, my brother still runs it to this day. We have a property company that operates out there as well. We used to have sort of fee brackets, so our bargain bucket tiles. Then we'd have our sort of mid-range. Then we'd have our more exclusive range. And again, one of the questions I'd ask at the beginning is, so like, which range of products do you think you're going to move towards? Like, where do you see yourself on the scale? And that's qualification. It's helpful. So if your clients ask you questions, it's really important that you're able to answer logical information all the way through the sales process. At quite a high level, give them the information and then ask a question. So often what we do is we read into the reason why they've asked for it using our own patterns and our own assumptions, and then don't share or answer. And that leaves them short. And when the brain's short, it's actually very lazy. The brain's lazy. It will procrastinate if it can. When it's short, it will move back into fear and say, do you know what, I'll have a think about it. Pop it on an email. Yeah, I'm interested, but it's just not the right time. See me after Christmas. So when that's happening, if you're hearing yes buts, then you've got to have a really good look at yourself and how much information you could have shared. So there's another part of the brain that's a really amazing part of the brain. It's what I call brain 3. This is where emotion lives. This is where creativity lives. This is where the future that's not real exists. And our clients must be logically and emotionally connected to our products or services. And here's the reason why. You should write this down. The number one thing that a buyer wants is a result. Buyers purchase results. It doesn't matter what you sell. Doesn't matter what your product or service is. It's what they get at the end that they haven't got now. Whether that solves something, whether it gets an accelerated result, whether it gives them experience they're not getting now that they want. Like that's it. Nobody wakes up in the morning and sort of goes, oh, I'll just pop round the corner and have a quick look in the tile and bathroom showroom. They're like, hey, we need to get a tile and bathroom sorted. And we want the solution. We want somebody to come and sort it all out and just do it all for us. So we've got it. They want the end result. And it's really important you're connected to that. We call it here at the Elite Closing Academy, the vision seed. What they want, what they get at the end, and what they become at the end that they're not now. So that's a really important part. Now, here's the skill. This is where asking powerful questions that are linked to both logic and emotion and get them a result that they're not getting now. When they answer it, here's what happens. They start to connect in their own mind really powerful links. They're emotionally connected. They can see it solves problems. It gets results. It makes other people happy. It makes them happy. Logically, it makes sense. It's worth taking a punt. It's worth going all in. And this only happens when you, as a professional salesperson, really ask lots of questions that link both of those together. Now, here's the reason why it's so important. We all have a little red dot. I've actually used a little swear word there, so please forgive me. This is our little default position. And the default position inside a human when it's being sold to is to say, yeah, I'm interested, but honestly, I need to speak to my partner, or whatever the other ones were that we had there. So pop it on an email and we'll have another look, and ring me in a month. Those kind of things are code for, like, this is just not important enough to me right now. I haven't got the time is a classic. Like, if you really need something, if there's something really important in your life, what do? You make the time. The same as money. Money's a resource. And if you really, really, really need to get something, if it's going to like really solve a problem, or here's a great example. Not many people that I know buy a house outright for the first time. They'll borrow the money to get the house because they've decided they want it, they need it, it keeps them safe, it keeps them warm. That's just one example. And people that sort of say, hey, I can't afford it, often live in a house that they couldn't afford either. So if somebody's saying they can't afford it, it's because we just haven't found out what they really need. And by not having it, what's the problem? Now, look, in the tile and bathroom industry, I would say tiles and bathrooms are generally a non-essential. So look, the principle still remains the same. Even when it's a non-essential item, if you've got a leak and you've got people coming over for Christmas, there's a whole host of reasons why you would find the money to have a new bathroom in my old world. That'd be a good example. And the salesperson, unless they've asked, what's your strongest reason for needing a new bathroom this side of Christmas? Like, what problem is it going to solve? Unless they've found that out, they're never going to know the truth. So, interestingly enough, there is another part of the brain, and I call this the funnel of fear. It's actually, it's a bit of bad news. And what that is it's kind of what we call our gut feeling. It's the power that we've been given. It's when somebody gives us that sort of, you know, when you deal with a salesperson, there's just something about them that you're feeling, you're not sure. Well, interestingly about the brain, if it's not sure in sales, or if you do something in sales that leaves them with a bad taste in their mouth, or they feel a bit pushed, or you're trying to get them to sign something when they're not ready, that actually sticks around for 13 years. 13 years. And you'll all know what I'm talking about. If you think about the time when you had a bad sales experience with a business that you maybe wanted to buy something from, it could be a car showroom, it might be a window sales, it doesn't really matter. I guarantee if you were to think about that bad experience and really explore your memory, I invite you to recall your memory, I guarantee it will be a lot clearer in your mind, that bad experience, than you'd ever imagine. I can think of one now, an Audi showroom recently. So look, that's a really brief overview, Alex and everybody in the group, of how the brain's working when it's in the closing cycle, really. And again, it's in the book. I'll get Tia, one of my team, to post the link of the book. As I say, it's in your pack. You get a PDF. But if you want a hard copy and all the videos and access to the community, we'll post, I don't know if you can do that now, I'll post it in the comments below. If you just click on the link, you can get hard copy. Around the world, the post and packages, you have to cover that. It's $6 or $7. And I think in the UK, it's under £3. So you just have to cover the P&P. So the brain is in there. I'm interested to know, just from what we've talked about there, have a look at your notes and post in the comments below. Give us a one takeaway or learning about the brain that you've got now that's going to help you. What did you learn? Post your comments in the box below. What did you learn from that? Understanding fear. yeah, fear is a really powerful thing. And we've all got it, Steve. 13 years memory of bad sales. Yeah, so the last thing that happens in sales is what they'll always remember you for. Finding the need. Yeah, Alexandra, brilliant. Not asking enough questions. What else did you learn about how the brain works? Need to get people looking for all the reasons why they should. Yeah, I love that. Susan, I teach something called RIO, risks, implications, and obstacles. So move towards fears when you're selling. And also then move towards, now I know your fears, let's look at the reasons why you should and the improvements that will be made and the opportunities that will come your way that are not there now. So that's really good. Thank you so much. And I'm glad there was plenty in it for you. So the next thing that the next key training that I've pulled out of the formula for you is around language. And language is an amazing thing. Amazing, amazing thing. Isn't it amazing? I've had two French people, no, one Macedonian, one French here live in the training today. And there was some French being taught. It's just a fascinating thing. Now, the interesting thing about closing is that it's not just verbal language, the words that we use, that impact everything. It's also the non-verbal, the way we shake hands, the way we look at people. Basically, our certainty from within is critical. So this is why using your head and your heart and connecting data and emotion is really important for both parties' certainty. We all love to be listened to, we all love to be understood, and we all love to be heard. And that's the skill, actually, of being amazing at sales and very professional, so that the close is effortless. Now, the thing about language, there are certain words that we say or use that the brain instantly goes, oh, like that's in my fearful part of the brain. So you can fire up fear just by using what I call a shitty little word. Here's a few phrases that we use, professional and unprofessional salespeople. Hey, it's just a quick call. I'm not trying to sell you anything. That would go straight into fear, because the truth is they are trying to sell you something. And what Open with a Close is all about is total transparency. I wrote it I created it when I was 19. I used to work in the photocopying industry for a small, medium business, about 15 staff and a turnover of about £1 million. And I used to watch lots of salespeople just fail all the time and say things that would create fear in the other prospect. I was like, hey, I'm not prepared to do this. So what needs to happen differently? And Open with a Close is about total transparency. It is about getting to the point, asking really powerful questions that, when answered, enable both parties to decide whether or not they're a good match, whether they can work together, whether there's a future together. And here's some words that I want to really bring into your arena, just so that you can make sure that your team, you, are not using language and words that fire up brain one, where fear lives. So here's a few of the culprits. Are you interested? Are you ready to sign? Would you like to sign? Would you like to go ahead? All of those kind of questions or words there. If you ask a closing question that start with any of those words, just remember you might get a yes. You might get a yes. If you've done your job properly and you've served and you've sold and you've understood and you've made a written proposal and they're engaged data and emotion and they're totally committed in the close, you might get away with it. But just remember, if you ask a closing question that brings no and yes into play, you immediately fire up the ancient part of the brain. Whoop, 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 salesperson. And the get out when we're in fear and we're being sold to is, hey, it sounds amazing. Pop it on an email and I'll get back to you after Christmas. So if you're expecting to close somebody and they're saying that, then there's something in your system that's not right. It might have been a word that you said just to put them into fear. It might have been a lack of information that they've got. It might be that you're explaining how it all works. And there's two things I'd like you to write down. When our prospects are in choice, we're in control. When our prospects are in choice, we're in control. That's really, really important. Allowing our prospect to come up with all the reasons why they should, all the reasons why they should move money around, all the reasons why they should make it happen, when they're deciding for themselves and they're choosing the answers, that's when you're in a really strong position. And the other thing is, if you're explaining how it all works, you're losing. So before a written proposal, if you're having to explain, here's what you get, and this is why you should do it, and here's all the features, all the benefits, the brain stops listening. It sort of just like zones out. Yeah, understand. Yeah, pop it on an email. I'll think about it. Get back to me. I'll ring you back tonight at 7. All of those kind of things happen. So look, you might be wondering, like, what do I need to do in sales and closing to avoid this aspect of the brain? So we have a great training called 5 W's and 1 H. Again, it's in Open with a Close, and you can use it all the way through the system. It's really powerful when you're closing. And Tia, if you just don't mind, if you post a comment in the box, we'll put the link in again for the book if you've just joined, which you can download if you want a hard copy of the book. When I wrote this, by the way, I wrote it very much as a tool. It's not a book. It's not a storybook. It doesn't talk about me. It talks about you. And you're able to refer to parts of the book as maybe a reminder. Perhaps you're having a tough day. Perhaps you're working on your own. You're like, I've got a few hindering thoughts. I need some more helpful ones. And you could just turn to page 71 and get your state right so that you can close more business. So the power of these 6 words, what, when, how, who, which, and where, when you're closing, is an absolute game changer. The reason being is that you avoid the area of the brain that if you fire it up, it will take the opportunity to find reasons why it shouldn't. It often comes from a parent or one of their parents. So my father, God bless him, I saw him this week. He's not been too well, but I saw him from a few meters away, and he's doing really good. But my dad was born in a tin bath in Birmingham at the end of the Second World War. They come from real sort of poor background, poverty. And his relationship with money, even to this day, is like, keep it, save it, hold on to it. No, wait. You don't need to buy that, hang on to it. That's Dad's way. And a lot of that, when I was a kid, was pushed onto me a little bit. So what I've learned is that when you're closing, it's really important, having earned the right through a great sales process, it's really important that when you're in the close, that you've got soft spiritual energy. So you're not all like desperate to get the money. But at the same time, you're not blown over by the wind. That you've got sharp skill and soft spiritual energy and a mindset of what I call the 4 C's, so that your language is crisp. You can write this down if you want. When you're closing, you want the 4 C's. You want your language to be crisp. You want it to be clear instructions. You want to create a concise environment, concise thinking. And the key C is the last one. You want to make sure that you're certain, that you know that they know, that you know that they know, that you've earned the right. And all you've got to do right now is ask a powerful closing question with one of those 6 words. And we're actually going to give you a question that you can ask today on this training so that you can quantum leap into 2021. Or if you've got any low-hanging fruit, if you've got anybody who maybe you've been thinking about over the last few weeks, you're thinking, the last time I spoke, I felt we should have closed them and they've gone a bit quiet on me and I haven't heard from them. By the way, just remember, if they've gone quiet on you, it's because you've gone quiet on them. It's your job to be professional and purposeful and persistent. As long as somebody wants or needs what you do, it's down to you to follow that up, not to wait for them to come back to you. Interestingly, 48% of businesses across the globe never follow up. 25% only follow up once with an email. 85% of emails either never get opened, go into spam, never get read. So just think about that. It's really important that you do follow up. So with all this information you've had about closing, I've got a question for you. Using 5 W's or 1 H, write down on your pad, what is your closing question? So that moment when you want to exchange the contract, what's your question? And I'm really intrigued to see what people put in. When you're ready to close, Scott Clancy, just go silent. Love it. The power of the pause. If you've got a closing question, what is it? We call it a phase one closing question. Which date suits you best, X or Y? That's absolutely fine. That's a really good, we call it a phase one close. Thank you, Michael. How soon do you want the leads coming in? Yeah, that's a really good phase one close. Well done. So which level of account are you looking at? Yeah, love that. How would you like to pay? Again, Steve, that's a phase one. So I think it'd be really helpful. There's some really good ones there. If the job's done right, it's closed. Yeah, I agree, Russell. If the job's done right, it's closed, and there's still a mechanic that needs to happen. It's either a statement or you move something like, hey, sign here and here, and we'll get started. There still needs to be what we call a link, a transition between stop selling, start closing, and that's really important. I do agree with Russell, but ultimately there still needs to be an exchange. I had somebody here who came to a training today who thought they'd closed a private client last week for 25,000 and exchanged the contract, but hasn't taken any money. They haven't taken the call since. They've had no money. It's not closed. It's still open. And that's a real threat to small to medium-sized businesses. Our two biggest threats are not enough cash flow, not enough cash in the bank, and number two, not enough people in the pipeline that need or want what we do. That's a real effort. That's the effort. So last thing from me then, if we could come up with a question tonight, a golden question that either you could use to go back to anybody that's in your pipeline and to close off before Christmas, to close off before the 31st of December. What question have you got to maybe somebody that you've quoted? They're in the pipeline. It's gone a bit quiet. You need a golden question, and the golden question must be linked to what happens next. So it must close what happens next. All right. So never, ever, ever ask a closing question about the money. It feels like you're after the money. Always ask a question that's linked to what happens next. So let's see, type 1 or 2 in the box below. If there was a question that you could go back to somebody in your pipeline, maybe you're quoting them a month ago. It might be something like, so a good example for me is I have a three-day training that people come to here at the Elite Closing Academy. And maybe somebody's gone a little bit quiet. I'll pick up the phone and I'll say, hey, look, firstly, I just want to say thank you so much for talking to me this evening, completely unannounced. The reason for today's call is to find out which one of the next 2 dates you wanted to get booked onto. I'm going to stop speaking. So that's called opening with close with a golden question. So if you could ask a golden question that was going to help you right now, tidy anything up this year, a little bit like mine, what would it be? What have I got here? I've got, what would you like to do? Yeah, it's a great question. Like, hey, here's another really nice angle, because salespeople look for angles at this time of year. If you feel like you've left something open-ended, maybe you even feel like perhaps you could have done a better job last time, but you're concerned about going back towards someone, you've got some hindering thoughts, call them anyway. Remember that they came towards your product or service in the first place, so they want it or need it. I always say, it's called the apology call. Hey, firstly, I want to say thank you for taking the call this evening. I owe you an apology. And normally people are like, oh, great, what have you done wrong? I'm like, look, the last time we spoke, I felt like we were a great match, but I just didn't serve you properly. So let me serve you now. I'm closing the book down on the 31st of December. Like, which one of these 2 products do you think could get you the best result? That'd be a golden question. So I'm keen to know, what else have we got? How are you? Just checking up. So Jason, my only concern with how are you just checking up is it's not actually linked to what happens next. So if you could ask it even better. So it's about what happens next. It's about closing what happens next. It's about, like, if you are ringing to find out how they are, ring and find out how they are and don't sell to them. Like, I'm concerned about you. How are you getting on? Great. Well, wonderful. So have a great Christmas. See you soon. If that was the reason for your call, then make that reason for your call. If it's to sell them something, then make that the reason for the call. It's about opening with a close. It's about closing, what happens next? What else have we got? How soon can you take on your next client? Perfect. What would you suggest as a way forward? Again, great question, Brian. These are great golden questions, and I'm seeing a number of them here. I love John's. So which level of account are you looking at? Steve Aspinall, how would you like to pay? Is a little bit neutral, and here's what I think you could do even better. There's 2 ways to make the payment, X or Y. Which one suits you best? That's always a good one. How soon can you take on your next client? From Matthew? Yeah, great. How soon can you take on your next client? Yeah, quickly. Brilliant. So let's get your next client booked on, whatever it might be. Amazing. So that's your golden question. And right here, right now, my advice to you all on this in this community, if you want a quantum leap in the new year, then it's really important that you master the close, because absolutely everything grows when you're good at this. When it's heartfelt, when it's from a genuine place of service, when you spend time selling by committing to understanding, so that you can then put together a written proposal and stop selling and start closing. So the next time you speak, you exchange and get them what they need. That's when you're in real power. So before we go, big question from me. If there was one thing you've learned from this tonight, have a look at your notes and put a star next to anything that you've learned, or anything that you might want a clarification on, and pop your comments below here. Yeah, so Susan, again, by the way, I'd like to ask you a few questions to learn about your health goals and see which program's a good match. I love that. It's called a seesaw with a seed in it. Not too keen on, does that sound good? It sort of brings yes and no into play. It kind of leaves me really no answer, but saying, yeah, okay, or no, I'm not interested. So it might be even more inquisitive, like, so what questions have you got about our product or service that might be able to help you with that? So ask a powerful question. So Steve Aspinall, I like the 4 C's. So that's an energy that you can swig down. It's like, give yourself a bit of courage in the close. And remember, when you do this properly, both parties are, as somebody mentioned earlier, if you sell properly, the close is easy. Selling is hard, in brackets work, so that closing is easy. So the 4 C's: crisp, clear, concise, certain. And this is especially for you, Steve. When our internal certainty is 10 out of 10, they're a 13 out of 10. If we're a 9, they're a 6. Like when we're being closed, we're looking, our brain 1 is looking out for reasons why we shouldn't do it, just in case we've been duped. Like my dad, have a think about it. You don't have to do it. It's actually on the lookout to protect you. So a couple more. Never be afraid of closing. It's the reason. Yeah, absolutely. We were born with courage. And as long as you've earned the right, it's like going in for a snog on your first passionate date. If you bottle it, they're like, whoa, weird. If you both go for it, you get a kiss. It's perfect. Couple more, and then we'll call it a day. Sarah says, to revisit what I've already learned and to immerse myself in your book and video series. Thank you, Sarah. Let's explore how you see this benefiting. Love that question, John. And that's a question that I'd ask before the close, not when I'm closing. If you're selling when you're closing and looking for possibilities and explorations and reasons why you haven't done the job properly earlier. That's in the sales system. When you're closing, ask a closing question. When you're selling, ask and listen. Couple more. Susan, get clearer and mindful on the wording of the open and closing questions. Orders your book. Fabulous. By the way, the book link is going in there again now. As I said, Quantum Leap and Alex have given you a PDF anyway. If you don't mind investing a couple of quid, a couple of pounds, you can actually get a hard copy of the book. And remember, it's a tool, not a book. It's quite humbling to see comments in a community from people all around the globe now who've like, get a highlighter out and highlight bits. That's what people send me, highlighted bits that have worked for them, questions that work for them and their business. So click on that link in there. You'll get a hard copy of the book sent out to you. You'll also get the videos, and you'll get the opportunity to join our free community and ask us any more questions. So, Alex, That's
Matt,
it from me.
thank you very much, Matt. That was the masterclass I was anticipating. The takeaways for me really was the commit to listening, commit to understanding, and really identifying whether you are actually the solution to the problem, and just, you know, having that sincere, soft conversation with the prospect or the potential client. And yeah, I mean, it was superb, mate. Thank you very much for being part of the program today, and we're very grateful. And I'll make sure your PDF book goes out in the goodie bag for all the people that are here today. And thank you very much.
Before you go,
Go on.
I've got one thing I must just give this to you as a gift, because if that was your biggest takeaway, when we are in the sales process, we use a sales system called Squid. Write Squid down. Alex, this is going to sort of endorse and help you even more with what you've just said. So this is a massive skill. It's called Squid. Share information that's helpful whilst you're selling. They don't need minutiae. They just need answers to questions. Answer and ask, share. The next one, Q, ask questions that go into brain 2 and 3, not brain 1.
Yeah.
Number 3, commit to understanding by asking questions and sharing information. Commit to it. Don't start selling just the moment you hear a scintilla of interest. Don't feel you've got to do features and benefits. Stay in the questions. Yeah. Understand. Inform is the I. When you're asking powerful questions and getting information, it's informative. It's not based on assumption or presumption. And the last thing is D. Once you've done all those things, decide whether or not you'd like to make a formal written proposal, because you can get them even better results, solve problems, or say, no, I don't think we're a good match. Go and see so-and-so. And that's the Squid system.
Matt, that was a lovely extra bit of value at the end. Thank you very much. And it's good to see you. And thank you very much. That's Matthew Elwell from the Elite Closing Academy. Top guy, top trainer. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Great to see you all. Great 2021. Quantum leap into it.